Hello, today I'll be talking about the game Biblios. I believe this came out in 2007. I think I got it from my Board Game Geek Secret Santa around 2010. Not positive about that, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. Um, anyway, let's do a setup and how to play on this one. First thing you'll do is put this little board called the scriptorium in the middle of the play area. Then you'll take the dice that match the color on the scriptorium and set them on their area. So brown here, and you set them all to 3 as is pictured there. So 3 brown, blue, 3. Alright, let me get all these dice put on here. Okay, all the dice are on the scriptorium, all set to a value of 3. You will then take your deck of cards and discard a number of cards depending on the number of players. I'm going to be playing a 3-player game, so in a 3-player game you discard 3 gold cards, 1 of each value. So I've done that here, a value 1, a value 2, and a value 3. Then you just discard an additional 12 random cards, so I'll just do 1, 2, 3, 11, 12. I'll just put those 12 out of the game over here with the 3 gold cards I took out. You then shuffle the remaining deck and form a draw pile somewhere near the scriptorium board. And that is it for setup. Not much setup for Biblios. Let's get on with how to play. Alright, the game is broken up into 2 phases, the gift phase and the auction phase. Gift phase comes first, and the first thing you'll do in the gift phase is select a first player through any means you choose. That suggests maybe the oldest player. So whoever the first player is, we'll say that's the player sitting over here will be my first player. He will become the active player, and he will have to allocate a number of cards depending on the number of players. In a 3-player game, which I'm playing, he will allocate 4 cards. So he'll draw cards one at a time, and he must allocate 1 to himself, 1 to the auction pile, and 2 to the public space. Again, that's in a 3-player game. In a 4 or 2-player game, the numbers would be a little bit different. But anyway, to allocate a card, a player will draw the top card, look at it, decide if maybe that's one he wants to keep for himself, or one he wants to put in a public space, or one he wants to put in the auction pile. So, for example, this one, maybe he says he's going to put that in the auction pile. Then he can draw another one. Maybe he's going to put that in the public space. Draws another one. Maybe he'll put that in the public space. So the next one he draws, he has to keep for himself. So he puts that face down in front of him. So again, the active player has to allocate 1 card to himself, 1 card to the auction pile, and 2 to the public space. And again, that's dependent on the number of players. There'll always be 1 fewer cards in the public space than there is the number of players playing. Once the active player has allocated the cards, the one he placed in front of him face down, he'll take that and put it in his hand. So I'll just put my hand of cards over here. Then, starting with the player to the left of the active player, so your second player, they choose one of the cards in the public space to add to their hand. So this player, maybe he chooses this one, adds that to his or her hand, and finally the next player would only have this one remaining. Now, this is a church card. Whenever a church card is acquired, either during the gift phase or during the auction phase, when the player acquires it, they have to immediately resolve it. This particular church card allows the player to choose one dice and either increase it by 1 point or decrease it by 1 point. Now, at this stage of the game, it's not really been too beneficial to get this church card because you don't have any cards in your hand. You don't know what you may want to increase or decrease, but because he got that card, he's got to do one, so he's just going to increase uh, this one by 1. Then this card is actually just discarded out of the game at that point. And just to say what these categories are, the brown one here is monks, the blue one is pigments, the green one is holy books, the orange one is manuscripts, and the red one is forbidden tombs. Basically, the premise or theme of the game is you are an abbot or something trying to have the greatest library or whatsoever, so you need to acquire monks and pigments to decorate your books, and of course holy books and manuscripts and forbidden tombs to fill your library. But I'll say the theme doesn't really come across too much to me anyway. But anyway, let's get on with the how to play. Once all the cards have been chosen out of the public space, then the active player's turn ends, and it goes to the player in clockwise order to their left, and they become the active player, and then they'll allocate cards, again in a 3-player 4 game. So similarly, now this player would have to allocate 4 cards, so maybe he looks at one, he decides to add that to his hand, or so first he just puts it down in front of him, then he selects another one. He decides he'll put that in the public space. He looks at another one. He decides to put that for the auction pile. And finally, the last one will have to go to the public space. Now this player would have to choose one from the public space, so maybe he chooses this one, adds it to his hand. So this player would have to choose this one and add it to his hand. And of course, the one the player chose, he then adds that to his hand. And so you'll go around like that until each player becoming the active player, going clockwise until you've gone through the entire deck. So after the gift phase, you've gone through the entire deck. It may look something like this. You have your auction deck. Some of the dice may have been adjusted. Some of those church cards are discarded because they were used. And then each player will have a large hand of cards. Then you go to the auction phase. So the first thing you'll do is shuffle up the auction deck. Okay, so the player who started as the first player, first active player during the gift phase, then takes the auction deck and they will flip over the first card in the deck, and that will be the first card up for bid. If it's not a gold card like this one, then starting with the player to the left, or going clockwise from the active player who revealed the first card up for auction, they have the opportunity to make a bid in gold. So they've acquired gold cards through the gift phase. So for instance, this player has what do we got? 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 gold. So he can bid a number of gold that he wants to pay to try to get this card. So maybe he says he bids 1 gold. Then the next player, he can decide to bid at least 1 more than that, so 2 gold or more. Then the next player can decide if he wants to bid, if this player bid 2 gold, this player can decide if he wants to bid 3 gold. And so you'll go around, you can continue going around bidding until a player passes. Once a player passes, he can no longer bid. So once all the players but one have passed, then whoever bid the highest then acquires that card, takes it into their hand. They have to take the gold that they bid, and show the cards they bid in gold and put them into the discard pile. If they bid, um, 3 gold and they only have two gold cards, they have to discard the two golds. They don't get a change of 1 gold, so they'll end up having paid 4 even though they only bid 3. But then they'll take that card. Then the next player to the left will become the active player. They take the deck, reveal the top card, and again, as long as it's not a gold card, then players will then bid gold they have in their hand to try to acquire that card. And again, if they acquire a church card like this one, then they immediately have to resolve it. This one allows you to uh, pick 1 dice and lower its value by 1. If the active player reveals a card and it's a gold card from the auction pile to be bid on, then the players, instead of bidding gold for that card, they bid a number of cards. So for instance, if this player revealed from the auction deck 2 gold, this player, if he decides he wanted to get that, he can bid a number of cards. So he may say 1 card. Then the next player, he may say, I'll bid 2 cards for that, or he may pass. And you keep going around until till the other players have passed and one person is the highest bidder. So like if this player bid 2 cards and the other players pass, he can discard any 2 cards from his hand. It could be a gold card, which would be crazy to discard it unless it was 2 ones, but that still wouldn't be value. But he could discard, this card and this card. And when you discard, you don't have to show the other players what you're discarding. You just show them the number of cards and then discard them face down. If a player bids for a card, either a gold card or a non-gold card, and they can't pay for it or refuse to pay for it, then they have to take a penalty, and that penalty is each other player gets to randomly draw 1 card from that player's hand, and then the card that they bid on but didn't pay for is auctioned again, and that player who was penalized is not allowed to bid on that card that time. So you'll continue auctioning until you've auctioned off the whole auction deck. Players will then determine the value they have in each of the categories. Money doesn't do you any good once you're doing in-game scoring, so you should use that to bid for cards from the auctions. But for instance, this player has 4, 5, 6, 7. He's got 7 in holy books. He's got 7 in holy books. This player only has 3 in holy books, and this player has no holy books. So this player gets to take the green dice with the value that it was set to and put that in his play area. This player has 12 in pigments. This player has 6, and this player only has 2. So this player would get to take the dice at whatever value it's currently set to and put that in his play area. This player has 9 in monks. This player has 9 in monks, and this player only has 5 in monks. So since we have a tie, both of these players have 9 in monks, then you look at who has a card closest to the letter A. So he's got a B, a C, and an I. And he's got an H, an F, and a C. So since this guy has a B, he's closest to the letter A. He actually gets to take the dice for monks. Then manuscripts. This player has 5. This player only has 2. And this player only has 1. So this player takes the dice and whatever value it's set to and puts it in his play area for manuscripts. And finally, Forbidden Tombs. This player has 4. This player only has 1, and this player only has 1, so this player will then take this dice. And since that's all the dice, you then add the victory points on your dice. So he's got a total of 9, he's got a total of 4, and he's got a total of 5, so this player would win Biblios. If there is a tie in victory points on your dice, then the player who still has the most gold in their hand, so that may be a reason to keep gold in your hand and not spend it all in bidding, because the player who has the most gold in their hand, then they would win. And if there's still a tie after that, then the player who had the highest total in monks, or not the highest, not who has the dice, but their highest total in card values in monks. And if there's still a tie after that, then you just go in order on the board. So then pigments would be next, whoever had the highest total in pigments, and so forth until a winner is declared. Normally, there's probably not going to be a tie, and it'll just whoever had the most victory points. And that's it. So why don't we go through some example turns and then wrap it up. Alright, so I've got the game set back up how we were at the beginning. I've got our draw pile. I've discarded the requisite number of cards for a 3-player game. Got the dice all set back to a value of 3. Again, this will be my first player, so he's got to do the gift phase where he's got to allocate 4 cards. So he'll draw 1. He likes that. So he's going to keep that for himself. Draw another one. 2 gold. He'll put that in the public area. I'll draw another one. 1 gold. He'll put that in the public area. And this one he'll put in the auction pile. And now this one he put face down for himself, he can take into his hand, which we'll just put over there. So now we go to the next player, and he'll allocate 4 cards. Oh, wait, sorry. Before he does that, the players have to take from the public space. So this player, he gets to decide first, so he'll take this 2 gold and put it into his hand. And this player, he'll take the 1 gold and put it into his hand. Okay, now this player has to allocate 4 cards. So he'll draw 1 and look at it. He likes that, so he'll put that face down in front of himself. He'll look at this one. He doesn't want the players to get that one easily, so he's going to put that in the auction pile. Now he's got it. The next 2 he has to put in the public space, whether he likes it or not. So he's done that. Now this player gets to choose one from the public space. He'll take this 2-value manuscript, and this player now gets to take this 2-value gold and add it to his hand. And now this player can add this card he took for his hand. Alright, it's this player's turn to now allocate 4 cards, so he'll look at one. Oh, 3 gold, he likes that. He's going to keep that for himself. Well, he puts it face down in front of himself before adding it to his hand. Looks at this one. I think he's going to put that in the auction pile. Oh, he's got to put the next 2 in the public space. He really doesn't like having to put that there. But now this player gets to choose one from the public space first. He's going to take this 3 monks. And so that leaves this one for this player. And now this player gets to put this one in his hand. So let me go ahead and finish allocating for the rest of the players. I think we've seen how that works. Well, I've gone through some allocation. I thought I'd show another round of allocation. It's this player is the active player, so he's going to draw. He'll leave that in the public space. He's going to take that manuscript, put that face down in front of himself. He'll put that in the public space, and he'll put that one in the auction pile. So now this player, he decides he's going to choose this one to add it to his hand, which leaves this one for this player. And now this guy gets to put this in his hand. And now this player is now the active player. So he's going to put that in the auction pile. He'll put that in the public space. He'll put that in the public space. So the next one he's got to take for himself, no matter what it is. Alright, so this player, he's going to take this one, add it to his hand, and this player will take this 1 gold. And now it's this player's turn to allocate. He'll put that in the public space. He will go ahead and put that in the auction he'll put that in the public space. So the next one he's got to take for himself. Only one gold. All right, let me finish out the gift phase. Well, this player, there's still these cards in the public space. This player's going to take that one, and this player's going to take that one. All right, I'll finish off the gift phase off camera now. I did want to show on the last allocation of the gift phase, this player, he acquired this church card. It's got 2 dice he can increase by 1. He cannot increase the same dice twice. He's got to increase 2 separate dice by 1. So he's going to do the blue. It had got marked down to 2. He's going to put it up to 3. And then he'll move the brown up to 4. Alright, so we finished the gift phase. We now got to shuffle up our auction deck. So now the player who was our first player, he'll take the auction deck. He's going to reveal 1 to be up for auction. It's a church card where you can lower 2 dice minus 1. This guy gets the opportunity to bid first. We'll just say he's going to bid 1 gold. This guy is going to bid 2 gold. This guy says he'll bid 3 gold. Come back to this guy. He's going to pass. He passes, so this guy has to pay 3 gold. So he'll take a 3, shows it to the other players, discards it. Our discard pile could be face down. And now he gets to lower 2 dice by 1. So looking at his hand, he doesn't have much in Forbidden Tombs or in manuscript. Well, he's got a little bit in manuscripts. He's got a lot in blue and brown. He doesn't have anything in holy books. So he's gonna lower Forbidden Tombs by 1 to a 2, and he's gonna lower holy books by 1 to a 2, and then this just gets discarded. Alright, now the next player takes the deck and he reveals 1 up for auction. That's a 3 gold. Remember, bidding for gold, you have to pay with cards. So this guy has the opportunity first. He thinks he doesn't really need any gold. He's going to pass. This player, the same. I don't think he really needs any gold. So he's going to pass. So this player, he can just bid 1 card and he'll get it, which he's going to do because he'll just bid. So he bids 1 card. The other 2 have passed, so they can't bid. So he's just going to discard a 1 gold. It could be any card. It doesn't have to be a gold, but it can be a gold. So he's going to discard that card, and he acquires this card into his hand. Alright, now this player takes the auction deck and he reveals 1, and it's another church card. So again, the players will bid on it, this time with gold. So this player bids 2 gold. This player bids 4 gold. This player passes. So this player has the opportunity to bid again. He'll bid 5 gold. This player passes. So these 2 have passed. So this guy again wins again with 5 gold bid. So he's got to show that he's paying 5 gold. Discards that. Now he gets to lower 1 dice by 1. He's going to lower this to a 1. And then this just gets discarded. Now this player takes the cards and he reveals 1 for auction. It's a 1 gold. Everybody passes. Nobody wants. So if everybody passes, it just gets discarded. This player now takes the auction pile and he reveals 1 for auction. Oh, it's a 4 in pigment, so that's pretty valuable. So this guy bids 5 gold. This player only has 5 gold left, so he passes because he can't bid higher. This player bids 6 gold, so we're back to this player. He bids 7 gold. This guy already passed, so he can't bid. This guy decides not to bid higher, so this guy gets it for 7 gold. So he reveals he's paying 7 gold, discards those cards, and then he takes that card into his hand. Alright, then the auction deck. So I'll go ahead and finish off the auction off camera. Alright, so I finished the auction phase. There's no more auction deck. These are the values we have in the scriptorium. So now everybody will just show what they have in each category, starting with monks, and see who gets to take the victory point dice for that category. So we'll start with monks. This player has 8. This player has 7. And this player has 8. So now we have to determine who has the card closest to A. He's got a B. And so this player, because he's got the card with the letter closest to A, he gets that. Monks. Alright, next we're looking at pigments. This guy has 7. This guy only has 4. And this guy only has 6. So this player will get the victory points for pigments. Alright, next we're looking at holy books. This player only has 3. This player has none. And this player's got 4, 5, 6, so he'll take that. Alright, next we're looking at manuscripts. This player has 3. This player's got 5, and this player only has 1, so this player will take the victory points for manuscripts. And finally, forbidden tombs. This player just has 1, this player just has 1, and this player has 4, so he'll get it. So he's got a total of 7, 8, 9 to 4 to 4, so this player wins Biblios. So, I don't know, this game, I guess it's okay. It's short, so that's good if you're just looking for a quick filler game. This game's okay. Again, the theme of being an abbot trying to build the greatest library does not come through to me at all. I guess it's not completely lucky, because you're choosing, when you're doing the gift phase, you're choosing what cards you keep, and in the auction phase you have the opportunity to buy these cards. Because you don't know what cards were discarded at the beginning, you don't really know what all cards are in there for each category, so that kind of keeps it a little bit of a mystery. But anyway, I don't know. This game's okay for me. I've played it with my family and played it just by myself, and it's okay, but not something I pull out very often. So, I don't know. That's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.